Right, here we go. For the umpteenth time. As if you can see me clearly. That obviously is the Anx cross, which I've worn since I was a 17-year-old. ANXH. Sometimes known as the sandal. It's across all Egyptian hieroglyphics, and I know quite a lot about Egyptology as well as everything else I bloody well know about. So I've been an occultist from 17. I've studied all the areas of magic you can study, far beyond what the Illuminati think they know. The Illuminati are children to me, and that's all they are. I've studied black, white, and grey magic. I know a lot about portals in space and time. I know a lot about astrology. A good occultist knows a great deal. If you're being attacked by dark forces, you must recognize those dark forces. So this little clip, this time, it's just to explain that over the years, from a 4-year-old little boy, from when I told my mother, I can remember before I was born, at 4-year-old, quite explicitly I told her that. From a 6-year-old in a haunted property my parents stayed in, I saw the descension of a really old grey-haired woman come down through the ceiling, observed her for about 8 or 9 minutes, and then she ascended back through the ceiling. And I can't make this more blatantly so than all these following experiences, I have never, ever been frightened. Not like a lot of human beings or souls. Never been frightened. I don't fear the occult. I love it. I've seen 4 or 5 different geometric craft, extraterrestrial craft, both extraterrestrial and interdimensional, as there are many interdimensional areas in space and time, not just close to this particular sphere, as it were. I've had close communication with extraterrestrial entities, with demonic beings, watching entities walk through a wall in Iona, in Scotland, at the end of the bed, and then back behind me through the other wall. Little tiny green dwarfs with a horn which went across their cranium, swept back. Even a Knights Templar in Iona, Scotland, visited me and came through the same actual room, number 3, in the Argyle Hotel, Scotland, Iona. I'm 67. I've seen more than a majority of human beings could ever imagine to say, and a lot of you would in fact be put in the mental home, the asylum. But because I've got such an incredible will, an incredible power, due to my occult knowledge, I don't fear nothing, nobody, nothing at all. If you're an occultist like me, who's dealt with demons and entities, who's had encounters and abductions, believe it or not, with various extraterrestrial beings, why is one frightened of a human form? Ask that question, because I bloody well ain't. All through my life from 4-year-old to now, that's all I've ever had. Experiences thrown at me, continuously thrown at me. And it's an actual fact. and scientific dickheads, not experts, should look into what I'm about to say. And I call them fucking dickheads. Let them explain why, not just in the awakening state, this reality, talking to you, that I've had close encounters with 5 or 6 different geometric shaped craft at 4 foot away and 20 foot away and 80 foot away, not quarter mile in the fucking sky. Why is it I also have encounters with entities and forms and different worlds in the dreaming state, which you would call a dreaming state? I call it an altered state of consciousness, where some people, in fact, like me, don't dream, they actually visit these places. And if you don't believe that, and get stuffed, because I don't take drugs. I don't believe in drugs and never have done. I've always been online and said thousands, and I mean of times, that I would be available for any kind of test to prove the validity of all my encounters with extraterrestrial craft, the internalization and watching the actual propulsion of that craft as well, ladies and gentlemen. I know the propulsion of that craft. I've had close encounters with demons and entities. And I'm prepared to go and say now online, I'll validate that statement to prove it. Obviously, under the guidance of a video and audio recording, so that the bastards that do it can't fault it, because I trust nobody. Certainly no dickhead in Whitehall. Certainly no MI5, MI6, CIA, NSA dickhead. And most importantly, not the fucking liars who come from NASA, because they get paid to talk a load of bullshit. If you don't like that, tough. Switch this off and don't watch it. The problem is a lot of human beings, like monkeys, they believe everything they're taught. Well, that must be right. Like sheep, follow the fucking master. I don't. I follow no fucker and never will. As I said, I don't take drugs. This is my drug. The occult. More powerful than any spiritual religion on this earth. Far more powerful. And you see this? The Ankh's cross. Do you know where it originated from? Now let me tell you where it originated from, shall I? It was seen on the side of a UFO. Thousands of years ago in Egypt. That's where the Ankhs came from. And that's where the jackal-headed deities as shown in all the hieroglyphics came from that ship. Now, if archaeologists don't like that, well, they can get stuffed, because I don't like a lot of archaeologists either. I think they talk a load of bullshit crap as well, especially with their carbon dating. As a human being, I state my mind. And I'm prepared to go on any kind of news, media, any news debate, and I'll thrash the idiots to try to go against me. I'm on my 3rd book now. My 2nd one is doing reasonably well. The Illuminating Flame, which is more of a grimoire, a dark occult adventure, with a lot of strange things and seagulls, not seagulls that take flight in the sky, SIGIL, occult symbolization, all from there. As I said, my dream states don't have anything to do with the reality that you perceive and know about. My dream states are in UFOs, other worlds and places and things you just could not ever imagine. And that's not just within this reality. There are a lot of other closer dimensions to us. But see, it disappears, kind of dissipates between this reality, interdimensional dimensional reality, and states of consciousness. And I've been blessed with have no end of different states of consciousness all through my life, and I'm pleased about that. I'm really pleased. I'm not frightened of what I've seen. Other people have seen a spaceship, if you want to call it that, 4 foot away, 20 foot away on 2 times, 4 foot away, another one 80 foot away. Watch it actually create a time portal in space and time. I've uploaded all this information on YouTube and Facebook. Other people have shit themselves and run away, but I don't. I'm not the kind of guy to go on holiday and can't wait to get out of my clothes and run down the beach and scream and shout and splash in the ocean with stupid women. I don't do that. That's just farcical to me. When I was 8-year-old at school, I stood to the back to my wall and just thought, what are these bloody idiots doing, running up and down at the school break, screaming and shouting with each other? Bloody idiots. I haven't got time for normal humanity. Really haven't. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm open. I perceive other worlds and spaces in time, other interdimensional areas of space and time as well, and the beings and forms that live within them, because my mind's totally open, always remains open, and I'm frightened of nothing. I've had near-death experiences. I actually drowned at cardiac arrest in 1996 off the coast of Albania, rushed to an Albanian hospital, which I have to say was a hell of an experience. I've seen the beings that came down for me twice within 10 minutes, about to take me away, and those beings weren't frightening. I was told, as I explained to a friend of mine, they're the seraphim, highest order next to God, if you want to call them God, the seraphim, and they came for me. Work that one out. I've completely fractured and broke my knee in half, completely had to be stitched up and screwed together. I've just broke my right arm, which is healed in 2 months. Got hit on the back of the head with an iron bar. Nearly killed me. I've survived that. I could go on. Could really go on. We're a very strange individual. And doctors and scientists don't like it because they cannot explain it. And anything a scientist and a doctor can't explain, they don't want to know. They'd rather ridicule you. Because they're a load of fucking assholes. And I'll tell them straight, they're a load of fucking assholes. When they deal with me. So I'll just be short, shall I? I'll tell you that in 1983, in September 1983, I was driving a post office vehicle, a security vehicle, from Peterborough Cams to Kings Lynn, Norfolk. And I was on that duty for 2 years. And I used to arrive in Kings Lynn office about 9:15 p.m. On this particular night at 8:45 p.m, from a distance quarter of a mile away, I observed a strange coloured object. And automatically I knew it was what you would call a UFO, a strange object. Now this object was actually standing in a farmer's field. I slowed down the security vehicle. On the A47, the main road from Wisbech to Kings Lynn, there was no noise, there was no traffic, which was highly, highly unusual, and I mean highly unusual. The sky was bright and clear, and I slowed the van right down to right opposite the field. I got out the van, kicking the security door pedal to open and slide the heavy door. I walked across the road, no sound, nobody there, jumped over the fence and went towards this cage-shaped object, about 8 by 8 foot in dimensions, which was clearly flashing off a lot of illumination and a lot of strange lights, red, green and blue, which I had to rub my eyes at the time, didn't wear glasses, really strong lights. And I walked right up to this cage and got up to 4 foot away from this cage. Now this cage I'm talking about had 8 bars around either side, each bar emitting and pulsating different lights. There was no top and bottom to the cage either. I walked right up to it and was about to touch it, and it ascended very quietly, no sound, to about 40 foot and disappeared. It didn't take off into the bright sky which was above me with just stars. It actually went into a different dimension. And that was in 83. And there's a long story after that, which I can't explain on here, what happened after that, including a depression in the seat next door to me when I jumped back in the van. As I said, I do not get frightened. I'm the ideal candidate to go in a haunted property. And I can actually bring out any demon or any form that's into that haunted property because I'm highly unusual. And so they're interested in me. Remember that. In 1983 as well, in May 1983, the cage was in September 1983. In May 1983, on a week's holiday, see my friend in Great Barford, Bedfordshire. We went out for the day and we stopped along the road about 9 a.m. in the morning. I pulled up the car I'd hired because then again, another UFO. Now I pulled up on the green lights, the traffic lights were on green, and I pulled the car up. And I got out, and so did my friend Kevin Monaghan. And so too, because there's a collective conscious sighting, did another 10 cars behind me. And the occupants and owners got out without a word said. However, right opposite me, the craft stopped. Now I believe it was a probe. That's my opinion. And it was a clear, bright day in May. It was no celestial object, as some dickheads say, who are sceptical bastards who I can't stand. That's why I'd love to be on a debate and put me in their places. This was no celestial form or anything like it. It stopped dead opposite me. It began to do right angular movements, which was quite noticeable, and it stopped 20 foot away from me above this chimney top. 4 foot from the top of the chimney. The craft was about 4 by 5 foot in dimensions, pyramidically shaped, and from the apex to the 4-point sides was a strobic pulsating blue tube, like a light, definitely pulsating all the time. It seemed to be molecular going up and down. Inside was a green transparent mist, and in the middle of that green transparent mist was a large orange sphere, which was also pulsating. There was no sound. I have to say that I've never, ever heard any sound whatsoever in all my close encounters. Whether that's strange or not, I don't give a toss. I just haven't. I watched this craft, this what I would call a probe, for about 3 or 4 minutes, as did everybody else. It then ascended to about 10 foot and took off at a phenomenal speed out of eyesight to the southwest. Gone. And to cut the story short, because as I've uploaded all these scenarios for a much longer time, if you want to look at them, cut the story short, strange things happened afterwards, including my psychic senses are enhanced. And that's very, very important. My psychic senses, I was born psychic, but after these events, they get incredibly enhanced. And I have precognition, or precognition, whatever you wish to call it. In 1992, on the 18th of December, that's 1992, 18th December, 23:45, whilst delivering a pizza, as I had a job in between my main job to make a bit of money, as you do, delivering this pizza, I went down a place called Fairstead Kings Lynn, a very large estate. I drove the pizza van down on this serpentine kind of a roadway, which went downhill. It was a clear moonlight sky, see a few stars, but clear on the 18th December, a bit frosty. And from a distance, approximately a quarter mile away, I saw a huge celestial star, or in fact, to be more open about the situation, as I learnt later, it was actually an opened portal, a gateway for a craft to come through. Now, this four-pointed blue star seemed to hang in the sky, I don't know, probably a quarter mile down. And I slowed the van down and stopped the vehicle and switched the engine off. And you do things like that because I used to run my own UFO group in Kings Lynn called NUFOG, Norfolk UFO Group. I've been on the television and radio and been in the paper and everywhere, as you do. And lectured, as you fucking do. So I wound the window down and there was no sound. Now this is quarter to midnight, 23:45. I didn't hear any voices saying what the hell was that or anything because they're too busy shagging, obviously, or probably asleep. Who knows? I speak my mind, I don't give a toss. So I knew something was going to happen. Psychically, I knew something was going to happen. All of a sudden, the star, obviously not celestial, this portal completely went out like you'd switch a light bulb off in a house and it'd go black. And within a minute or less, a craft appeared, 40 foot long, oval shaped, probably 10 foot from the base to the dome-shaped aperture at the top, clearly visible. And I was looking out through the driver's side window. And no, I was not fucking afraid. I love things like this. So I watched it. Now the craft was going less than 5 miles an hour, less than that. I knew that the beings, occupants inside, knew of my presence. They knew that I knew of their presence. And I did have a strange feeling that it was going to be beam me up, Scotty, as in Star Trek. And you know what? I would not have been afraid. I'd have loved it. I'd have fucking loved it. However, all of a sudden at the base of the craft, looking up from the window from the van, in a clockwise motion, some lights or ports, orange ports, were turned on and began to revolve. About 10, actually. Slowly revolving. Now, I say there were ports rather than lights because then there was an issue of some kind of strange alien energy came out. And a mirror appeared in the front of the craft, the space of the craft within 10 feet of the craft. And when I say mirror, that's only my observance I can say. And I'm a pretty switched on guy. Now, the mirror was probably about twice the height of the craft and twice the width. And it looked like a mirror that you would look into. Only it was very square and just hanging there in space. I could see behind this mirror and see the stars in the space behind it. It was just an open doorway that this craft had actually opened up. And the craft slowly entered this mirror and began to disappear through this opened mirror, vanished, and then the mirror vanished. And there was a quick flash. Now I, who am extremely different than most human beings, it would appear, I shook my head, wound the window up, turned the engine on, and then continued to deliver this pizza. Now, the pizza, for those who are dickheads, a pizza in a thermal bag will last 45 minutes, easily. So I went down, delivered the pizza, and went back to the manager of the pizza shop and didn't say anything and went on. I did write some strange pictures of alien beings and drawings at the time. But otherwise than that, I slept well. Now, I've had no end of encounters. And therefore, compared to these skeptical dickheads out there, I'll challenge them at any time whatsoever. Any time. Because I'm solid concrete. I'm like rock. And all they are ping pong balls against me. Ping pong balls. In other words, they're not effective at all, whatever they say. Whatever, you can open their mouths and talk as much bullshit as they want. They're not effective against me. I say and do what I want to do. And I know what I've seen. That goes for any governmental dickhead, USA or English. So I could go on about my demonic experiences in Iona, the entities I've seen there, the levitating nun who gave me a very strange occult terminology, which I've got to follow through because I think it's quite powerful, but I'm not going to say it here online. I just want to say that I ain't frightened of no so-called witch in this country or anywhere else in the world. And I'm surely not frightened of the Illuminati. Illuminati, like candles, can be just put out. Bum, 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 bum. That's what I think the Illuminati. A load of pricks. So thanks very much for listening for this little short treatise. That's Richard Thompson online.